Welcome to the Young Pro Show. Our special guest today is our friend here, Kristen. Kristen, how's it going?
Good. How are you doing, David?
I'm doing fantastic. Matt, how you doing?
I'm doing awesome, Dave. Thanks so much.
Cool. Well, glad to have you guys on the show today. Kristen is an incredible entrepreneur. She's been an entrepreneur since her 20s, and she's been stepping out of the status quo and blowing up everything that any limits that people have put on her ever since. She's been in network marketing. She's run a few different businesses in real estate, investing, all that fun stuff. And she's here to drop some wisdom for the youth of today because, well, she's in her generation. She's killing it. So super happy to have you on the show, Kristen. Why don't we just start off by getting to know you a little bit more and your story. How did you start off by being an entrepreneur?
Well, thank you very much. And I'm excited to be here on Young Pros. But I guess my very biggest thing came from being fearful that I didn't fit inside this mold. You know, you're graduating high school and everyone's saying you need to do X, Y, Z. You need to go to school immediately. You need to choose your career. And I was very much and I graduated when I was 17. So, I'm a baby and I'm going, you want me to decide what I want to do for the rest of my damn life at this age? Are you out of your mind? I don't even have a credit card. I've barely traveled. I've never done anything on my own. And now I have to decide this lifelong decision. And it was just something that made me very uncomfortable. And I was also a big believer in, I don't really like authority that much. I was a little bit of a rebel, not a bad kid, but I just didn't be always told what to do. Very opinionated. And I also had a big fear of writing exams and failing. So I always had this vision of college and me freaking out and panicking. And, additionally, I always thought it was I would watch my older friends go to university, college, things like that, and they'd be changing majors all the time. They're basically just kind of going through electives, wasting a lot of money, and I just felt like that was not for me. And so it's kind of what else do you do? And it's you need to figure out what you're passionate about and what I could do for myself, where I could live a life by design on my own terms, but also feel comfortable in my own skin, not feel fearful, and really not allow that fear to dictate my life. I was, very early, not even 20 then when I made those decisions. So I've grown a lot since then, but that was really what got me in the industry, or just a mindset of I need to do this and what's best for me, not what everyone else says needs to happen.
Were you already thinking about those things when you were in high school? You were kind of can already tell you're questioning your teachers and kind of why am I learning this stuff? When am I ever going to use, this angle, this geometry equation or this math equation, that kind of stuff?
When's the last time you did the hypotenuse of something?
Right.
Yeah.
Never. And I was in school, got what I call the Try Hard Award, which really means you achieved a lot, but you weren't really the best, but the teachers liked you. So it's not I was a bad kid, and I always like to do well at things. I just felt none of those things were my calling. I wasn't going to be a doctor. I didn't believe that a teacher, in business school was going to teach me anything. If you're a teacher in business school, maybe if the professor was a business owner, but why wouldn't I find a mentor that could just teach me how to do that? Because we all know, some of the greatest minds in the world, the biggest names that we would know, Bill Gates and Steve Jobs and these people, they're all dropouts. Or, Jessica Alba, $1 billion company with Honest. She didn't go to Harvard for 20 years to do that. She was passionate about it, and it was something that was congruent with her lifestyle, and she had mentorship, and now she has one of the biggest companies out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's amazing what the right mentor will do for your life, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And it's interesting that, we're not ever told this growing up. All we're told to do is listen to the person that is in front of the class that is teaching. But why are we listening to the person that doesn't have the results that we really want? And, we don't even second question it, that person isn't really doing what we want to do. I mean, if we want to be a professor, sure, let's listen to the professor. But most of the time, that's not the case. Did you go to college, or did you just make the decision right out of high school that wasn't something that you were going to do?
I did take a post-sec. I guess it's considered a trade, a skill. I went to school to do skincare and facials and all that crap. But it was really nothing against that industry. Now it's really cool. You see it everywhere, fillers, and people change their face. And it's plastic surgery without being a surgeon. But it was really a time filler for me that I went did the math, like what could I do while I'm still deciding what I want to do. It was a very like naive decision that I made in my early 20s to do that. So that was the only like what we would consider traditional education I've taken. But from there, I'd much rather be in like a Robert Kiyosaki course. So I did like his real estate courses, been mentored by John C.Maxwell, John Wooden, like obsessed with books. Like I really feel that you need to find what resonates with you. So no, I didn't go to any post-secondary, but I feel like my education, like most people's education, stops once I get that degree, and my education is just like a continual thing of learning on a variety of topics that I'm passionate about or would bring me value to whatever skill set I need at the time.
Awesome.
I took tourism and travel because I knew I wanted to travel.
Right? It's
and then I didn't even graduate.
Yeah, and then you're like, oh, well, I just wasted a bunch of, well, for me, it was my parents' money, but.
Yeah. I wasted the government's.
There we go.
So also our parents' money.
Yeah, also.
Yeah, one of the things that we say that we want to do in Young Pros is create lifelong students. So just like you're saying, it's not about stopping your education in college, university, but continuing this education throughout your entire life and always being a student. I did go to post-secondary after I took 2 years off. I went in entrepreneurship though, so I wasn't going to, do any job. I was going to learn how to start a business, and the idea for Young Pros was already there. So it was really, let's go to college and university after I've already been reading books from successful people for the past 2 years. And now let's learn how maybe I can meet some more people who are on the same path as me. And Matt comes along, and here we are today with the Young Pro Show.
I love that entrepreneurship is now something that's offered in college.
Yeah, I didn't even know that. I didn't even know that was like a thing.
Yeah.
And what was cool about it is these students, I actually knocked the education system a lot. But while I was in entrepreneurship, all my teachers had actually had real world experience, and all of them were running their own business while they were teaching. So I thought that was pretty cool.
That's wonderful, because it was not like that even just, I don't know, when we went to school 10 years ago. It was not a thing then. You got a business degree, and you were like, I don't know,
trained to be a manager.
Right? Yeah, like that's not exciting. There's nothing. Like, there's always going to be people that are better than other people and are going to go above and beyond and do whichever. And I'm sure many of those people have business degrees and doctorates and whatever. But, really, I feel like when it comes to entrepreneurship, you can create a team around you that has the skill sets that, that need a professional degree, like maybe an accountant or bookkeeper. Like, you can't just have, Donald Trump's accountant doing your books, like a little bit shady maybe, but maybe doesn't have a degree. But as a leader and a visionary and an entrepreneur, like your goal is to create that team around you so you don't have to have those skill sets.
Yeah, it's so interesting how school teaches us not to cooperate with other people around you and not to, learn from them. And
right?
But the reality is that's what you need to do, because you can't know everything. You need to have a good team in place really around you to help fill in the gaps that you suck at.
It's unbelievable that school, and like I didn't reflect on this until recently, was like it's all about like no collaboration, right? Like everyone's all for themselves, and everyone learns differently. But for example, like we're taking right now, my husband and I, we're helping was once a traditional company become a direct sales company, and that's we've been in the industry, but we have never done this, so it's a big challenge for us. But many of the greatest ideas we come up with are sitting at a round table, like shooting the shit, and then we have a topic, and then we're like, oh, and then it evolves from there and becomes evolutionary, which we're not taught to do. So in school, it's called cheating.
Yeah.
Right? You're going to get in trouble and kicked out of school to do that. If you go over to your buddy and say, what's like 4 + 5? Now it's not the case. Like it should be encouraged for people to collaborate. But I also believe that if you're the type of person that really loves to be in an office by yourself and just like be focused like that, that should also be encouraged too. And you shouldn't be forced to now have to be this super like extrovert if that's not your style. But realistically, the greatest things are evolutionary, and they need to come from feedback and multiple people and multiple minds and multiple visions to create one in a company.
Yes. Yeah, Napoleon Hill in Think and Grow Rich talks about the mastermind and how when you a few people coming together for an idea, then you can create this new energy that will come up with more ideas and more potential, more opportunity than you would have had if you were solo. And I've experienced this so often where I'll just be talking to somebody about an idea, and when both of us get inspired, all of a sudden there's these like new sparks of ideas coming out of nowhere, and we're both like, wow, we feel like geniuses when we're having this conversation.
Right?
These things should be enforced and told that, hey, you know, get together with your friends, talk about ideas, have a mastermind, and watch what happens.
Right. Well, and it could be like positive and like negative responses to things, because if we have a really, what we feel is like the greatest idea ever, and you bring it to kind of like quote unquote a focus group, well, all of a sudden you're going to get different people's perceptions that you never experienced. They may be negative, and it might be, you know, at first it's a little bit like, you're like, oh, that's my baby. I totally thought about that. But when you take a step back and you look at everything objectively and not emotionally, it can take that idea to the next level. Or you can go, wow, that was really horrible, and I was just like maybe having too many cocktails during that time. But more often than not, you know, positive and negative feedback can just take you to that next level.
Yeah, it can help you hone your idea down, right?
Yeah.
Really give you clarity on it. So having those minds around you, giving you both sides of the feedback are very beneficial. And again, something that's not really encouraged too often in a traditional school system, but is very important as an entrepreneur.
No, and I think it's important as like someone, you know, if you're young, it's an interesting place to be in. So, you know, when we were in our network marketing company, I was very young. Like I started, like we were like one of the top earners at 24 years old. So you're looked upon as a leader, but you're also like 20 to 30 years younger than a lot of people that are in the same room. So it becomes an interesting dynamic as a young person that I really feel like you have to grow into. And that's where these books that you guys are doing on this Young Pro series comes in, is because kind of in the beginning when we decide we're entrepreneurs, we get a bit of a chip on our shoulder, right? Like we do, like I was like anti-authority and like, who are you? You don't do business and whatever. You're not joining mine, like you're not good or whatever.
Yeah.
But you grow and you evolve as you get older. But if it's something you're studying now, you know, people will stop looking at you for your age.
Yes.
And then you just become a leader and you become a better speaker and, you know, better, whatever you are choosing to do. But it is an interesting place to be at in the early years, because for some reason, our society puts so much value as far as our smarts based on age.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like, realistically, like if you stick me next to like a 55-year-old lady that like has never been an entrepreneur, like if you just put us next to each other, society says she is smarter than me because she's older and has more like time on the planet. But the reality is we study different things and have different passions. So, you know, maybe I am smarter, but it's when I was young and in my 20s, I would damn well tell you I was. So now I've learned to, you know, through my speaking and how I share things, that is like an assumption of, you know, other people versus me having to tell you. That was one of the biggest things I changed when I was a kid. So I would just tell you, and now I share with you and show you by leading by example.
Yes, definitely. That's powerful. One of my mentors, Tuan, said that on the road to infinity, we're all in the same place.
Right?
Right. So we all have all these different experiences that we could be sharing with one another and learning from one another. You know, we have to humble ourselves down and realize that every person that is around us, no matter how negative or positive they are, we can still pull something from them. If they're negative, we can pull what not to do from them. But that humbling perspective, for me anyway, allowed me to learn so much more in certain situations that I wouldn't have if I let my ego think that I was better than that person that I was talking to.
Right. Well, that's exactly what's going on in our politics right now, whether it's Canadian or American. It's just this big ego shit show, right? Yeah. And reality is like anyone of any intelligence, in my opinion, is just embarrassed. They're just looking at these people and they're like embarrassed for them because it's this ego thing, and you know, it's nothing is
attacking one another and lying to one another.
Right. And it just feels like this is where we are right now in 2016, is like, this is how we deal with people. This is how we treat people. And this the people we're going to have leading our country in one way or the other. And also what I find is we also see people we knew or know reacting in such a way that, like, I start looking at them like, really? Like, this is how you publicly, like, say things? So it's a very interesting time we live in now, like, politically anyways.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's kind of hard to wrap your head around sometimes to see what's going on here. And you're looking at the leaders of one of the most powerful countries in the world and how they talk to one another up there in front of they had the biggest debates ever on history. And you got tens of millions of people watching these things, and you listen to these two jackasses.
Yeah.
They behave to one another. It's embarrassing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and more than ever before, I feel like people and companies that are here to have a different conversation, a conversation about things that matter, need to step up more and more and more with all this shit, with this shit show that is going on.
Yeah.
On the back end, people that want to have a real conversation about, ourselves and our world and the type of lives that we can live need to be stepping up and having a bigger voice.
Right.
Out there.
And I also, like, one of the things my husband and I, rules we abide by is like, okay, this is the government, this is whichever. Let's just, what we can control is what we have an opinion about and what we can do in our own personal economy. Because at the end of the day, like, people doing all these, like, rants or Facebook posts or whichever, that doesn't make a change in our world. It's not anything better. Like, you're not bringing any value to anyone because you're crapping all over the prime minister. But if you focus internally on your family and what you need to do to make your economy better and your world better via, income-wise, becoming smarter, more educated on what you're going to do for your future financially and things like that, as well as, I believe, in our community, volunteering and stuff, you kind of just push out the noise then. And you don't allow this junk to bother you. And I would really say that's one of the biggest things that we've always never, the government's going to be the government. We're always going to pay taxes. So at the end of the day, it's like, why fight it? Just, like, learn how to use the system to the best of your ability and don't allow whatever's going on in the media to affect your own personal economy and goals and desires and dreams.
Yeah, it's like you want to learn the rules of the game, right? And be able to play the rules of the game in whatever country you live in and play them to your advantage. There's certain things put in place that are legal and able. We're able to take advantage of those things for our benefit, but you do it within the laws of the country, and it can set yourself up to have incredible tax breaks, but also add significant income to your bottom line and help you reinvest that into more opportunity.
Mm-hmm. Right? Like, why would you pay more tax if you don't have to? Like, why wouldn't you be a business owner? Like, one of our things on our website is, like, just a 60-minute talk on, like, taxes. And I'm not a tax professional, but my dad was an accountant. So I grew up saving receipts and doing these things. And, like, anytime we go out in a business setting, like, those things are write-offs and stuff. And it's, most people don't know these things. They don't know how to do their books properly. They don't know what credits they can get. If they are part of the Aboriginal community, like, the grants you can get, just to apply, or even in and of itself, if you're a young entrepreneur or a young student in this country, you can apply, but it takes time to go get grants for your business. But that isn't really taught to us. We're just kind of like, be a slave, 9 to 5, work in the box. And if you live in Alberta, it's 12-hour shifts, and living in Fort McMurray, like, there's just, it's not lifestyle I want, that's for sure.
Yeah, I was never told any of that stuff. Nobody taught me how to work my money or what to save or what to look at or what resources to go to or any of that stuff. Like, that was just never a conversation that popped up, when in reality that should be, money is a very, very, very large part of the entire world. You would think that is something that would be a conversation that we'd be having. I think would be a good thing for the young people to know. Kristen, what are some resources or maybe books that you've read that have taught you a lot about your finances and how to, kind of master this game?
So my biggest, like, my top books are, David Bach has a book, Automatic Millionaire. And he just really talks about paying yourself first, if you do have debt, how you should pay it down. We are humans. So he really emphasized, like, even if it's $5 goes into you renting a movie for whatever, not that we rent movies anymore at the video store. But, like, you really need to, like, feed all your things when it comes to education and bills and, family things. So I really love that. I'm also a big fan of Tony Robbins has a new book. What's it called?
Money Masters.
Money Master the Game. Yeah, I think something like that. So, and he talks a lot about learning how to leverage your own money. So like index funds, self-managing, where we can go as regular people. Because, I have my own personal experience. CIBC has someone called Wood Gundy, and you cannot invest with them unless you have like $1 million or some craziness like this. But a girlfriend of mine, her dad worked there. And so when I was like 21, I invested like the only $1,000 I had with him, and he let me do it. I lost it all. The stock went to shit, whichever, but it was a risk I was willing to take at that age. So now what I find that my husband and I do is like, we're big fans of like Elon Musk, so his companies, Tesla and Solar City, because we really think those are going to be evolutionary in our lifetime within the world. And so we started really studying people we, like and enjoy, and topics we like. And so we also started self-funding ourselves with different stocks in the areas we like, and, diversification. But those are the two biggest books I would say that are super easy. And then you can easily just go online and look up tax stuff. Like I'm sure TaxBot, which is kind of like an MLM program, you could just read it and learn different things. And a bookkeeper. At the end of the day, if you are a business owner, you should have someone that understands your books and understands where your vision is going with your business. So yeah, I had an advantage. My dad was this person, but I'd be able to sit down with him quarterly, annually, monthly, whatever I need. And we talk about our goals, and he says, okay, this is what you can do financially. This is what you can't be doing. This is what you should be doing. This is where you're spending too much money. This is where maybe you should be investing more. At the end of the year, you're going to have this. Those kind of decisions and conversations are so important because many of us are just leaving money on the table, and a professional will really help you, keep more money in your pocket. That's what we want to do, right?
Yeah, and one of the things that you said earlier about taking that $1,000 and investing it with Wood Gundy and having that all disappear under your eyes, the sad thing about that is that's what most people do, is they have zero understanding of it. They throw their money blindly to a financial advisor who really, they're just an employee. They're a salesman of the bank. Yeah. And that person only makes money when you give them money. Doesn't matter if that money you give them makes money or loses money. They still get paid a commission based on what they've sold you, and the bank makes money through fees. But you're basically gambling your money away,
Oh, totally. And I had my first gig was in life insurance and investments. And I was taught to sell common sense funds and, it'd be safe and this and that and the next thing. And, this is before I really, I was interested in it. I was young. I got life license at 18. So, I trusted my mentors, and I look, and then, those may be products that could be good for people who are absolutely zero risk, but whatever. But once you start learning a little bit more things, mutual funds and things have the highest MER fees in the world. And so unless they're performing at 30, 40%, you're making nothing. Yeah. And you can easily, if you educate yourself, get into different circles where you can start investing and, really trusting the people. And there's going to be some deals that will go sideways. That's life. But you can get far greater returns outside of what the box says we should do, which is these tax-free savings accounts and GICs and RSPs and bullshit like that.
Yep.
Yeah, it's interesting that many people are willing to just take their money and put it into some external source that they have no idea whether or not it's going to give any returns to them before they even think about investing in themselves. Right?
Oh,
before
totally.
they even think about buying a book or an audio or even putting something towards a company that they want. That's just the paradigm of that is really interesting.
Yeah, we have this, we're programmed very early. It's not education unless it's tens of thousands of dollars at a university or a college or online. We're programmed that way, even though you and I, internet marketing's huge. I'm sure many of your members are into that. There's a lot of other people online making hundreds of thousands of dollars and millions of dollars a month that would be a much better educator to them in a course that they sold online than going to university to try and learn God knows what you'd learn now in the industry, because it's so evolutionary right now, right? Could you imagine, if I enrolled in university to learn, marketing right now, by the time I was done that course, the landscape would change so much.
Yeah,
you have to find people doing what you want to do to follow them.
Yeah. Yeah, and people that are active in doing that thing at
Yeah.
the time, right? Up with the know-how and the trends and what's going on. You don't want to be, like you said, in marketing especially. That's definitely one that moves extremely fast. And if you took that class in school, you're going to be left behind.
Yeah, it's terrible. Like Ryan and
The
I.
person who's studying it real time.
Yeah, Ryan and I experienced that with, I feel like Robert Kiyosaki himself has a lot of value, but we did do his real estate course, and unfortunately it was all about Americans and nothing really pertained to Canada. Yeah. And, they taught, it's very slimy. You go into this course and they talk to you about credit on the last day, and they're like, how much credit can you get? And then they go, call all your banks, call everything, get your credit cards, like, as high as you can get them, your line of credit, see what you can get available. And it's like a task or whatever. And of course, Ryan and I are super naive and just want to be rich. So we go and do it. And then they slam you with these huge bills. And not to say that education should be not expensive or whatever. There shouldn't be a price tag, set on everything. But what they were offering to us in Canada was not applicable on what they were selling. So it was like 29,000 US on my credit card. And then I couldn't use any of it. And so I had to fight to get money back or whichever. But like, that was a very poor experience on investing in ourselves. But I learned now that I'll never just react emotionally, because at a young age, when you decide you're bit with the entrepreneurship bug, it's about money. And if you're sitting in a course or you're sitting in a presentation and that a person appears to have what you want, lots of times we just go with our heart and our emotions instead of logic and breaking it down and asking more questions. And we do that as young people, as we maybe don't ask enough questions for fear of what the answer is, or we don't know what questions to ask, and we can get taken advantage of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, being aware of what it is that you're putting your money towards is definitely a good lesson to learn. And I think you and I have both had a few of those kind of errors, but we also learned a lot from those errors, which is very important.
Yes. So it's definitely, there's that catch-22 of like, you have to take chances and risks, and you're gonna lose and you're gonna have heartache and whichever. But there's also the smarts that you develop from those bad things happening, or not so positive things happening. But yeah, Matt and I have we've been through it together also in different things.
Yeah, and I mean, those risks allow you to learn those things. The more of those risks that you take, the more you're able to learn. And then here, a young buck like me can come along and learn from you guys for the mistakes that you've made. So thank you.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Before we were talking a little bit about paradigm and the way that society programs you right now, Kristen, I was wondering if you noticed like a drastic change in programming that you had to go through from where you were maybe when you graduated high school to where you are now as a successful entrepreneur.
I think the biggest programming for me personally, I was always somewhat like, don't tell me what to do kind of person. But the biggest shift I needed to make was like, I'm independent, I'm strong, I'm confident. Like, it doesn't matter my age, it doesn't matter my sex, it doesn't matter what my current income is. Like, I just need to be like good with me. And I think that's a big problem within like our generation, and maybe specifically to women, is we tend to, our world is kind of like, it's all about men, and it's not really as much about women yet. And we can see that, everywhere, unfortunately, or minorities too, like it does not specifically to women. But, so my biggest I had to have a personal shift in my confidence, a personal shift that I could do it, and I could do it right. And I didn't need someone else validating every move I made. Right. And when I got there and I was comfortable in those things and the decision I was making, I've seen a lot of shifts, and I've seen a lot more opportunities open up. And I'm definitely always growing and things like that, but I took a lot more ownership in me and my emotions and, where I was going. And once I changed and felt more confident in that, business completely changed for us.
Incredible. Yeah, that's another thing that that is still going on right now around the world, is the fact that a lot of women are not feeling as empowered, and they're not feeling like they can really step up to the plate and really do it. What would you say to the woman right now who is graduating high school, and they may be having those thoughts too, that, they will go maybe not do what they know they can do because of what they've been told?
I would say the biggest thing is do not let someone push you in a box. Like, just don't let it happen. Like for me, and I needed to escape that. So I literally went backpack Europe with my buddy. We did that for a couple months, and it was an escape mechanism. But and then I would say find someone that you want to model, that someone has, the lifestyle you want, or they're doing the things you want, and go have coffee with them, go pick their brain, go have a conversation, ask them questions, because and then create a group of women. So one of the biggest things we do is we all have these groups of friends, male, female, whichever, and we've got certain groups that empower us, and the other group, they don't really bring much value to our life, but they're there. They're the fun people, right? Maybe. And so like if you can create this group of empowering people that are designed to lift you up, and especially for women, we have this big thing where everything has to be perfect. And, right now it's like your lips aren't big enough. Your butt doesn't look like Kim Kardashian. Your hair isn't, you gotta take vitamins for your hair. Like we are like just designed to like hate everything about ourselves or want to change it and improve it. So if you can become, a part of a community that isn't about that and doesn't, abide by those rules that we are taught on TV and magazines, you're going to see yourself exponentially change. Because, now I don't buy the women's health and all these, because I understand it's just advertising. It's just crap, right? But it took me some time to do that. So now it's like, if someone comes into my life and doesn't make me a better person, and I don't grow because of them, they're most likely not there in a couple months. And not because they're bad people, but like that's what I need in my life to become a better person and to contribute more in business, in life, to my family and to my community.
That's so important. Sometimes we have people come into our lives, and as a way of, I don't know if it's taking pity on the people that are wanting to feel some sort of connection from someone else, but we keep people around that do not benefit us whatsoever. And I've seen so many relationships, especially, that are so toxic to each other, but they just want that feeling of love or that feeling of support from the other person that's there, and they don't break the how do you say that word? Toxicity. The toxicity that relationship is causing, when really it's, look yourself in the mirror and realize that love is within you. And it's not in another person, that if you feel that within you, you won't need the toxic relationship to get it. You can have the people that will be of value to you.
Yeah, I think especially when it comes to a relationship, like personal and like a love life, you really need to find, like if that's what you want, you need to find that partner that is on the same playing field as you. And, like for me and my husband, we don't do this like, oh, my husband's like the holy grail and he gets everything. We're partners, and we're in a partnership, and like partners don't always agree, but like there's trust in a partnership, and there's, and we all go through relationships where we leave on the other side going like, why did we stay that long? Mm-hmm. But if you can really like own yourself and say, I don't need someone to feel loved, to get anywhere, to, affirm me every day. What happens is the partner you attract becomes so much greater, and you no longer have this like thing in a relationship where you can't speak your opinion, or you can't say what you like or dislike, or you can't be a powerful, business person, or, there's some sort of weird thing of like, my wife stays at home, but I work, so I'm better because I bring home the money. Like, you don't have that in healthy, proper relationships. Yeah. Right. And I think that we need, as our generation, we need to demand that. It's no longer this thing of like, oh, I got to graduate school, go to university, have babies, and, get married. It's, you know what? I don't need to do that. That's what they did in the 1900s and the 1800s. We're no longer around there. You're fine. There's science. You could have Janet Jackson's 50 and having a freaking kid right now. Like, you're fine. Don't feel that societal pressure. And that's something, like I feel, because I don't have kids. I just turned 30 a month or two ago. And it's like, the only question people ever ask me is like, first it was, when are you getting married? And now it's like, when are you having a goddamn child? And I'm like, why don't you ask me about how I'm changing the world, or like what good I did today? Because I don't need to be in this box of just popping out babies. And if I wanted to, yes, by all means, you are empowered. But if you don't want to, why is it frowned upon?
Yes.
To make a decision over your own body? right?
I think people just ask those questions just for lack of things to say, right? And
Seriously.
I think that boils down to the lack of education that people really get once they're done the education from school system.
Right.
Their ability to communicate in meaningful conversation greatly diminishes the less they learn, and they get more and more stagnant, more and more dull. They get in the same rut. There's no real life to their conversation, no real enthusiasm or energy pouring out of them when you see them. And it's become almost hard for me to be around with other people. I really have a tough time in certain scenarios communicating with people.
Yeah.
Right? What's the weather?
Yeah.
And like, what's the weather going to be tomorrow? Like, I know, like, I have these conversations myself because, like, if I don't know the person that well, sometimes it takes me a little bit to get to talk to them. But I find that, like, the default in all new relationships is like, what's the weather? Or we go negative. For some reason in our world, it is better to go, it's easier, and we're taught to go negative because for some reason being positive or confident is automatically considered having an ego or being arrogant. It's like a very weird thing, but yet when you're around a positive person, you're attracted to them more, they have better energy. So it's very weird. It's very complicated.
You ever been told that people can't be around you because you're too positive?
Yeah. Like, well, maybe not me. I'm a little bit outspoken, but
I definitely have.
Yeah, I have too. It's interesting. I've many conversations I've had where I will purposely go from the surface level conversation to just asking deep questions. And sometimes when the surprise that you'll see on some people's faces when you ask people those questions, it's like, I've never been asked that in my whole life. Why are you, sometimes like a barrier will come up, trying to block you from asking those questions to them or trying to find out a little bit more about them or their life or their meaning or their purpose or their dreams and all that stuff that, in my opinion, are the only things that matter. So many people will put up a blockade from answering any of those questions. Oh, right. Or they just are, we're not taught to ask questions or to actually I feel like the social media has taught us to surfacely care about people. In different things, what are they looking like today? Did they go on a vacation? Or what car are they driving? Like, that's what Instagram teaches us. We don't really, I've got 5,000 people on my Facebook. I don't know any of them. They're my Facebook friends and they know all about my dogs and this and whatever. But why? What real value is that? We all see this is, David, if I went on your Facebook and you shared something that was super important to our generation that would cause people to grow, you're going to get 2 people liking it. And then if you shared a funny meme, you get 400, right? It's our attention span doesn't exist anymore. How we communicate to people doesn't really exist appropriate anymore. Now I'll have adults be texting me, can I call you? And it's really? You couldn't just pick up the phone and call me because I'm certain you'd get the answer either way. Why can't we have a real conversation like this? Zoom is one of my favorite platforms because you can see people, you can engage, it's good quality, but you can have a real conversation, which I think is very lacking now, especially for millennials, especially for our generation. We are a smartphone obsessed. Even in a group like this, we all know we've been there. And then we're all sitting on our phones caring about what happened in somebody's life that we don't even talk to ever. Right. It's very disappointing, actually. So right now I've been really focused on, I put my phone away if I need it for business, of course, but I don't need to answer my phone at midnight. I don't need to be looking at those things anymore. I need to create, boundaries within my life and where I schedule quality things. And that includes not having my cell phone attached to me 24/7.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we have to start having those important conversations with ourselves too. And then naturally those conversations will start to reflect the people around us. I think we're lacking that, especially is just in our own thought processes. Those conversations and those questions are not happening. So how could they when we're talking to other people around us? Right. I feel the biggest questions my husband and I always ask ourselves are, is this making me a better person? Is it making me a better person? Is it making me a better person? And that could be emotionally, intelligence-wise, for the community. And anytime what we're doing, besides I'm definitely not going to quit wine, okay? Wine doesn't make me a better person.
But, when I was 20, I would drink a lot of wine and do really stupid things. Now I would never do that because that didn't make me a better person. But I feel like if we always ask those things to ourselves, you will get out of situations you shouldn't be in. You can, change situations you thought were good and are no longer positive. And I think overall you'll be happier. And if you're not happy, like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Completely agree. So Kristen, we're coming close to the hour mark already. It's crazy how fast these conversations go. But Kristen, what are some last tips that you can give to the young people that are out there who really want to go out there and make their dreams happen, or who maybe are already in the process of doing it but experiencing they're just questioning themselves in their journey? What advice can you give to them?
Write it down. Write down exactly what you want, and don't be afraid to say it and to own it. The sooner you can decide that, the sooner, you can become aligned with what you're doing. And then, of course, your peer group is everything. So if you're a young entrepreneur and the only thing your friends do is live for the weekend and party and get shit-faced and do a lot of drugs, like, God help me, this world is horrible now with these fentanyl things. Like, my God, stop doing this to yourself. That doesn't make your life better, and it doesn't make you a better person. So go find a group of people like the people of Young Pros and create a community there. It doesn't mean you have to stop doing certain things, but your social circle will bring a lot of value to your life. And I can tell you, we got a phone call last year in February from people we had been wanting to do business with for over 5 years. And it was like everything aligned. And now it's unbelievable. Like, I've never had to present to investors that literally are like writing hundreds of $1,000s checks for the project we're working on right now. And they believe in us. But if we didn't make the choices when we were young adults to be better people, to choose wisely who we surround ourselves with, we would have never got into the next level of people. And so I think that's the most important thing we can do, is just really, really control what goes in your mind, what you listen to, what you hear, and who those thoughts are coming from, whether it's audios, books, your social circle, your parents. If your parents are telling you, like, it's not okay, stay in the box, I'm not joking, take time out. I did.
Yeah.
There was at one point in my life where I was like, I'm on a mission and you are not helping me get there right now. Specifically one parent, not the other. And, I needed a little time out. And it didn't mean I loved this person any less or whichever, but it meant there were certain conversations that just didn't happen anymore because it didn't bring value to where I needed to go.
Awesome.
Good points there. One thing I just want to touch on quickly, Kristen, that I think people hear it a lot, about finding out what it is they want to do and like finding their passion. And I think it's often hard for people to really identify that and maybe know what that is. And, do you think it's really important to necessarily have your passion nailed down, or more of like your broad scope of how you want your life to look like? Like, do you want a life of freedom? Do you want to control your own income and how it comes in? Do you want to be told when you can go on vacation or not? Do you want to, do you want to be your own boss or do you not want to be your own boss? Like, do you think those things are easier for them to figure out first and maybe a better starting point than just figure out what it is you're passionate about per se?
100%. That is actually brilliant. So I'm going to now use that forever in my coaching, because I think passion kind of gets thrown out a lot or whatever. And, maybe you don't know exactly what your purpose is for many, many years, but it doesn't mean you can't be good or great at things and do things you love while finding that. And I think we are all evolutionary. So that will change. But if you, like, we have things that are ingrained in us that are concrete. Like, some people just want to do this. Like me, I was like, I don't want an alarm clock. I hate getting up early, and I'm never changing that just because you say so. Like, it's just not a thing, right? So I think if you define what you see as the vision for your life, that's going to help you then go back and create the action plan to get there. So and also, in addition to that, do not hinder your vision. Like, don't dampen that because someone else decided that, like, oh, you don't need that. If you want a 17,000 square foot house and you're going to work for it, don't let anyone else tell you that you don't need that. That's your decision, and your decision whether you're single or in a partnership, alone. And that's it. So as long as you don't hurt anyone to get the things you need, if you like fancy watches and diamond rings, awesome. Or if you're a person that like wants to dress like Steve Jobs, that's your thing too. Like, don't let anyone tell you what you want is, not okay.
Well said.
Very well said.
Awesome. Well, Kristen, where could I learn from you? If I want to go check you out, if I want to go see what you're doing, where can I find you?
All right. So you can find me at wealthunchained.com. So we are actually launching a brand new course for people in the industry of network marketing, branding, things like that, kind of the evolution of where we see the industry going. And then, of course, if we have any people locally, because we will be in Edmonton, you can go to mealife.com, and we will be launching that as a direct sales company come January. So if you're local here, or you just want some really fresh, convenient, chef-made food delivered to your door, feel like a baller, check us out at mealife.com with just one L.
Okay. And we'll attach those links right under the episode. So if you're watching this right now, check below. The links will be there. And aside from that, that's the Young Pro Show for today. So thank you, Kristen, so much for coming to the show. You were amazing. Got a bunch of value that was given to us. I know there's a bunch of young people that are watching this that are super inspired, and women out there who are empowered after hearing you talk. So thank you so much for coming to the show today.
Thank you so much, Kristen.
Awesome, guys. Remember to subscribe to the Young Pro Show, like us on Facebook, and get ready for some more awesome interviews with incredible entrepreneurs just like Kristen here today. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.